Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Jay Swish, friend of the show. We were lucky enough to have a couple beers with him in Montreal before the big game against USA. I mean, look, I got his resume up here. I knew this, but I guess I forgot. He's won everywhere he's played, or coached, North American League, USHL, AHL, two-time Stanley Cup champ, and now Four Nations champ. Jon Cooper. Coop, thanks, buddy. I know you're super busy. We appreciate you taking the time. You're so good to Missin Curfew, my man. Yeah, there it is, eh?
There it is.
That's nice.
Stepping.
That's nice.
Yeah. Kobe style, though. He's got the sleeves cut off.
Yeah. I thought, maybe, come playoff time in the spring, you might need a short sleeve hoodie, right? It gets a little warm there in Tampa for you, I thought. Bill Belichick style, fella.
Actually, I do wear hoodies in practice, but not with the ripped off sleeves.
Hey, let's start with the most important thing here. Back in the day with the Green Bay Gamblers, did you draft Jordan Smoltz? Did you trade Jordan Smoltz? Jay Smith, how did it work with you and the Green Bay Gamblers and Coop back in the day?
Yeah, so I think they wanted to pick me, but they maybe were picking like 7th that year when Coop was there. And I went.
What year would that have been?
It was like 2009, I believe, Coop, 2010, somewhere in there.
Yeah, because that's
because it was a futures draft. Remember the futures draft?
It was a futures draft.
Yes.
Yeah, I swear we drafted you, but you played. Did you play for Newsy?
I did play for Newsy. So I got drafted by Sioux City, 6th overall. Not a big deal. Played 1 year for Luke Strand there, and then the team, he left. They were kind of brutal, and Newsy ended up trading for me the following year, and we won the Clark Cup. So I missed you by a year, but I had so many of those disciples.
Where did your brother play?
He played in Green Bay. Yep.
All right, so maybe that was
he played for Green Bay. He played for our team as like a 14 or a 15-year-old that year when you used to be able to play like 10 games, and then you'd be moved to that team. So he played with me for probably like 10 or 12 games, and then played 2 years after that for Newsy. So yeah, we were both there, man. Even my cousin, all 3 Schmaltzes played in Green Bay.
That's where the Jay Swish legend began.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
I'll tell you though, that was the league has really grown, but that move to Green Bay was such a great move. I mean, I'd been in St. Louis with an unbelievable crew, and I was really nervous about going to another league. And I went to when I went to Green Bay, it was what a game changer that organization was. Just the way they ran everything with Ken Walker and Brendan Bruss, Jeff Mitchell, and it was such first class. And I'll never forget when the final that year it was crazy. We were down 0-2 to Fargo and had to go up to Fargo and win game 3. He went in triple overtime. Anders Lee actually scored the tying goal with 30 seconds left. They were doing a live broadcast about how Fargo was going to win the cup, and Anders Lee scored to tie it. Ryan Fern won it in triple overtime. And then we ended up winning game 4, went back to Green Bay, and they sold out the Resch Center for game 5. It was just, it was sick. Great. It was a great place to coach hockey, play hockey. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that barn was unbelievable. And I think you were the defensive coach that I had at the time, Johnny Roger, back in the day. Did you bring Rogie to Green Bay? Because that guy was an absolute beauty. Oh, my God.
He is Jammer. All-timer. There's no doubt. One of my favorite pictures hanging up is when we clinched the big cup, and I'm in his arms, and he's classic. But yeah, brought Roger with me. Big part of it. He was the man.
Hey, Coop, speaking about St. Louis, sorry, Jay Swish, you won back-to-back championships there in St. Louis. Was Obi Clark there back in the day? Did you ever
Kelly Chase introduced me to Obi Clark's.
Yeah.
And I still go today. That's a definite stop every time we go to St. Louis. Yeah, Jimmy O'Brien and the crew. It's wow, great memories out of that place.
I've never been there for work. I've never been there for one.
Oh, you got to go there.
I know. St. Louis was always a rest city for me, Coop. Anytime I went to the loo, I usually just a little room service or something and kind of put the feet up. I was trying to recover from Chicago, probably.
Yeah, that was St. Louis. Another. God, I've been so fortunate to work in some great towns. But you would talk about a hockey town. That's a big time hockey town, and I think they're the poster child for alumni staying, and then being a part of the organization, being part of the community, and that whole group of players there. And I think it's a big reason you see, like, for instance, Clayton Keller, in Utah now, and these St. Louis kids. And that's a product of, you look at the Kachucks and Brown, and you just go down the list,
Fredericks, yeah.
All out of that St. Louis. And it was all their dads. They used to play. They came in and coached. They all hung out there, stayed there. And it's really become, like I said, I think they're the poster child for how alumni should be run.
Yeah, they do have a nice alumni program there, Jay Swish.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even that new practice rink they have there, they have an alumni locker room. Just a great group of guys. I just wish I would have played more games there, Ropes, because they got some unbelievable dudes in that alumni scheme.
You're still an alumni, bud. It doesn't matter how many players. You're still alumni, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Coop, let's get
locker in for you.
Coop, let's get into the Four Nations, buddy. First of all, as your buddy, a guy that's got to know you over the years, the way you represented the country yourself, buddy, you should be so proud. It was so good for hockey. But I want to talk to you about the practices. I mean, you look back at a guy like MJ talking about the Dream Team and Magic and Barkley. They talk about the practices, and I know you guys didn't have a lot of time. I think you had a couple practices before the first game against Sweden. But talk to me as a guy who's been around a long time on some good teams. What were those practices like as a head coach?
Oh, so you got to remember too, when you first come in there, so you're kind of jacked up and you want to see how these guys perform. And you coach in the NHL, the best league in the world, and you're used to a certain pace of practice. And but I'll tell you, when those first couple drills went, I was blown away about how fast these guys were. And you know how it is. It's like the first day of training camp, so everybody's just buzzing. Everybody's so excited and it was kind of how it was at Four Nations. And the big thing was, so what I did is I would film like the practice drills I knew we were going to use. I filmed them in Tampa, so then I could, like roll them into the, before practice. But the problem was, like, all the Tampa guys, Hagel, Cirelli, and Point, were a little miffed because I guess I showed a couple clips or, some of the drills where the boys weren't executing properly. So just the Four Nations guys were giving it to them about the lack of execution in practice. But it was an eye opener. There's no question.
Coop, I wanted to ask you, and one of those players on a team takes a lot of flack, especially playing in Toronto, but when the chips were all in and you needed him the most, Mitch Marner made 2 unbelievable plays in that championship game. Can you just touch on the skill level of Marner, just even seeing him in practice on a day-to-day basis? I don't think he gets enough credit for how heady of a player he is, really.
Yeah, so I was really fortunate in 2017, actually that jersey behind me there, who Victor Hedman he kind of got on me a bit because that's a silver medal that we want to wear.
He was letting you have it a bit.
He beat me. Yeah, but
Victor. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, he gave it to me pretty good. Anyway, what was I? Marner. So in 2017, we took Marner, Connectney, and Braden Point on that team at Worlds. And basically it was like, hey, these are young and up and comers. We're going to bring them on this team, but we're going to healthy scratch them and let them be around Hockey Canada and stuff like that. And all those 3 did was ultimately I put them on a line together and I couldn't take them out of the lineup. And they were phenomenal for us. And they were a big reason we made it to a shootout of the final of the World Championships. And so I kind of had, that was my first taste of like how Mitch could play. And now being in his division and seeing him all the time, and I've seen him in multiple playoff rounds. He, for a guy of, that size, he's not the biggest kid. He's not the fastest kid. He doesn't have the hardest shot. He doesn't have any of that stuff, but blends it all together with his brain. And he's one of the best players in the world. And so, as that tournament went on and you're thinking about players are going to play with certain guys. And I thought Marner would either be the perfect fit for one of the 2 Macs, McDavid or McKinnon. And, as it turned out, he started there. And then as the tournament went on, I had to take him away for a bit. And but then I put him back in the second period of the final game. And fortunately worked out for us.
Yeah, he proved me wrong. I was kind of all over Marner all tournament, Coop. That's probably the reason why I'm not the head coach of Team Canada, because you stuck with him, buddy. And I want to give you a lot of credit because obviously you came into the game plan and you had your lines, and it's a short tournament, things go on, and then you just started shuffling the deck. And what was the rhyme or reason, or is that just a gut feeling for you? Like I said, it's a short tournament, but I was really impressed with your, I guess, balls to do it and to shuffle it up and go with something else and try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So much planning and thought goes in. If I could talk to you like about the work the staff did, but mentally, who you're thinking of putting with each player, and a lot of communication went into it. I talked to a lot of guys, and never mentioned names, but the type of player they feel they played best with. I talked to their coaches. I did so much research in it. And so then you think you've got the master plan, and then all of a sudden you don't. And the only way you really truly get a feel for it, and that's why you can watch as much video and all these things on players as you want, until you're behind the bench with them, you just don't have the feel. And part of it is, when we were playing, we were a different team against Sweden and the USA the first two games than we were against Finland and USA the second. And we had to eliminate some of the risk in our game. And so part of that was why the shuffling went on. And, ultimately you get a feel, and you ask any coach, my gut's been a big time ally for me and over the years. And when it's screaming something, I got to act. But it's putting the players in a position to succeed. And so, for instance, Marner wasn't having the success I thought he could in a certain situation. I knew he could. And, he had to scale his game back a little bit, but I just had that feeling Marner was going to be a big part of this, and we needed Marner. And he's one of the best players in the world. And he's so smart, and calculated what he does. But, you've got the McDavids, the Crosbys, the McKinnons, and all these guys, and, trying to fit the pieces in the puzzle, and you're not always right. And so that's why the hard part was, in a 4-game tournament, you got to get this right, and you got to get it right fast. And, fortunately it worked out. And, you look at Sully in the US team, he didn't have the Tkachuks together in the beginning, and he didn't have Matthews with them, and he did some shuffling around, and, look what happened with them. And so there was a pretty good chess match going on between, definitely the two of us. And we did, that ultimately that game went to overtime. It was anybody's game in the end.
Coop, I wanted to ask you, so you see that goal go in, obviously Marner, great pass into the slot to McDavid. Abbo's cheddar is always better. But after that kind of little celebration, you singled out Binnington right away. And you said something to Binner along the lines of, you stole us that game, or you kept us in it. What did you say to Binner? Because he was always your guy, even in the moments of maybe teams or even, fans or media was doubting him. It was a really cool moment at the TD Garden there after the win.
Yeah. So for me, that was the most scrutinized position on the team. Let's be honest. I don't think there's any secret about that. And, Jordan, again, was, in my gut, our guy. And he still had to prove himself during the year. We weren't just going to throw him in there and say, hey, Aiden Hill or Monty were having great years as well. But again, it was just that feeling that Binner, at this time to start that tournament, was going to be the guy. And we knew we had good ones to back him up in case he faltered, but he never really faltered. And you can sit here and say, oh, well, this one maybe was a little bit of a softie, or this one was a softie. But in the end, you look at that Sweden game, he made a huge save in overtime to keep that game level before Martin scored. And, the USA game, ultimately we scored 1 goal. So it's hard to win when you just score 1. The Finland game, he was great, I thought. And then, at the end, we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit. But I thought there was not even a question with me that he was the guy when we needed to get it done. Could be the guy that could do it. And, I thought that game was a really good hockey game through 60 minutes. And ultimately, their big chances, ours did. And, Bitter came up big when we needed him most. And then when our chance came, we were able to cash in. But I just thought, he should know. And I think in that feeling that when McDavid scored, there's just so much emotion that just flies out of you. I don't even remember what I did till I saw it on video later, whatever my fist bump or whatever I did. Like everything is like, hey, we did it. And then I just felt a need to go tell a guy that really had a big part of it that didn't have the opportunity to score the goal and tell him how I felt.
Yeah, well, what a call on Binnington. That guy is a gamer. I mean, the Jay Swish was talking about before the tournament and Updog, and not that I was doubting Binnington, but I was just, I guess I haven't been around him like these boys, and he did that. That gold medal game or championship game, is that the fastest game you've ever coached? Because watching on TV, I was like, even McDavid didn't look fast, and when a game is that fast to make 97 look kind of somewhat normal, was it the fastest game you've ever coached?
No question.
Yeah.
And it was, to be honest, like the Sweden game 1 was alarmingly fast. And then it just continued to go until that final. And when you're watching the best of the best of the best all check, because they were all checking.
Yeah.
Now you're getting tight checking. You're getting not a whole lot of scoring opportunities. When you get one, the entire building is standing up and it's just heart thumping the entire time. But it is, we came back to coach, for our day jobs, and you could just tell, like, holy cow, we're coaching the best league in the world, and you can see a difference in the totality of the game of all 4 lines. It was remarkable. It was, I can't describe the experience from start to finish of how impressive not only the players were, but the city of Montreal and the city of Boston, and how they treated this event and the fan support, regardless of who you were cheering for, was nothing like I've ever seen. It was amazing.
Yeah, Montreal was buzzing. That city was absolutely buzzing. It had a buzz in the air. And speaking of buzz in the air, Coop, I mean, right from the start, the first couple of days of practice and all the media attention it was getting, and then, you guys start with Sweden, and out comes Big 66 to drop the puck, and the Bell Center went crazy. I had goosebumps. I'm watching it on TV going, I love Mario the Magnificent. For you personally, what was that like, to see him come out, a legend like himself? It just gave me goosebumps, Coop.
Oh, my God. So I often get asked, when's your first, introduction to Canada and your feeling when you're growing up? And I remember, oh gosh, like I don't remember, 70s like I probably should. I was a young kid then. So like it wasn't till, that 84 Olympics, I was going to Notre Dame and Saskatchewan, and they would bring the TVs in when they were in the 84 Olympics, and they'd stop the games and watch. So you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. But the teams, didn't really win. And it wasn't until 87. And that's when, you're just glued to the TV. I understood more. You're fans of the players, and, to watch arguably the 3 greatest games played, 6-5, 6-5, 6-5. And then the way that game ended, you never forget that. And, there's certain goals you'll never forget in your life. You never forget Mario Lemieux. You're not going to forget, as a Canadian, Sid's golden goal in 2010, and probably not going to forget McDavid's goal in 2025. But, I've been really fortunate in this league. I've gotten to meet so many great, fabulous people. But, one of the Mount Rushmores I'd never met was Mario Lemieux. And to have that opportunity and for him to go out of his way to come in and do our starting lineup, that was a thrill. And then just the way that tournament went, to have him go out there, and as I was saying about the city of Montreal, he never played in Montreal, yet he got an ovation like it was thunderous, like I'd never heard before. And something it was like, wow, we're part of something special. And I think that was the greatest kickoff to a tournament.
Speaking of Canadian legends, you had one on staff with you, Coop, and that is the real Rocket Tocchet. Rick Tocchet owned the record for most Gordie Howe hat tricks. So, Coop, I'm asking you, with no disrespect to Mr. Hockey, Should it be renamed with the real Rocket Tocchet hat trick?
Okay, so let's be honest. Gordie Howe is going to go down as top 2, 3, 4 players ever to play this game. Legend. Iconic. But how many Gordie Howe hat tricks did he have himself?
One, didn't he?
Now,
one, I think.
He had two.
Two, yeah.
So it's, two at the most. And Tocc's got 18.
Yep.
So it's like, wow. Actually, you know he's going to kill me for saying this, but Paul Coffey had 9.
No way.
Really?
Yeah. Paul Coffey. I know, that's what I said to him. I was mean. He's like, I was mean, Coop. What?
Yeah, I guess.
The only thing you did mean was throw the puck in the net. One year you scored 49 as a defenseman. Okay, that was mean. I'll take you as a as a mean guy, but he Tocc's got 18 of those. That's you talk about records that are gonna be tough to beat. That one will be tough to beat.
Yeah, Tocc's is such a beauty, and we were lucky enough to meet up with you guys before the USA game, and I could tell that Tocc's wish he could have went out there and played in that game. But Coop, first of all,
so I'll give you a quick Toc story. So Tocc's unbelievable on the bench. He's got such a great feel. He's in his interaction with the guys. I see, like he coached Sid, their cup days and stuff like that. So I see the relationship he has with them. But when overtime came, it was funny because everybody's nerves go up a little bit, and he was kind of narrating the game under his breath, and it was hilarious. It was so funny, Toc. He's the best.
His reaction when everyone else jumped up his reaction took him a second to realize, I think, that you guys had finally done it. But Coop, I want to ask you about that game in Montreal. Like, we walk in the barn, we got a nice glow going, people are high-fiving. I mean, then the anthem starts, and we know about the 3 fights. But as a coach, before that game starts, and then those fights happen, like, how do you stay calm behind there? Like, I was ready to the whole building's going nuts. Like, as a guy who's got 2 cups and have been there, and the reason you're the coach of Team Canada is because you've been there before. How did you stay calm, or were you not?
To be honest, so going to Stanley Cup finals and playing in the playoffs and all that is a huge training ground for something like this. And, the difference is that the Cup finals are 2 months long, as opposed to like 12, 10 days or whatever it was. This was a different feel because when you're the Stanley Cup, it's for your city, it's for where you live, your home and stuff like that. 4 Nations was for your country. And there was so much more that went into it. It became much, much more than a hockey tournament. That's why 16 plus million people watched it. It had political angles, it had pride angles, and but when you're coaching a game, as soon as that puck drops, and it's hard to describe the feeling, everything becomes almost white noise, and I feel like you ask any player, like, you're in the game. So now I'm thinking line changes. I'm thinking, who am I putting here? Who's coming up for them? There's so many things going in your head. It kind of all goes away. But when those fights happened, it's weird because you don't feel like you're in the fight with them, but you do. And ultimately, you're just hoping nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things going in my head. Like, I'm watching Hags go the first one, and I'm thinking, I have so many things. Like, I'm so pumped up. I'm watching the crowd. I've never seen a crowd go as berserk as I did when Hags and Matthew went at it. And I think it was unexpected for the entire crowd, but even, for us on the bench. And, ultimately, you're pulling for your guy, but then you've got flashbacks of flashing ahead. Like, he still has to go back to Tampa and finish 2 more months. Be okay, but win this fight for your country. Like, there's so many emotions going on. You're like, but it was that was none of those fights were not. They weren't staged. There was nothing going on other than 6 combatants and competitors fighting digging their heels in the sand and fighting for the country. And it was you could tell the genuineness that was going on when those scraps were going on.
Coop, you had a great press conference after you won the gold medal, and a reporter asked you, "Hey, fella, what do you have in that cup?" And you said, "It's Canadian." So One, what'd you have in the cup, Coop? Was it a little bit of whiskey? Was it some Molten? Did you guys have a runner, someone driving it across Ontario for your boys? Because that was, as far as I'm concerned, the best quote from a coach all year. I loved it.
It was Canadian. There was for sure, it was a mixture. There'd been probably some harder stuff in there before the lighter stuff went in. Yeah, it was that was part of our post game ceremony too, was making sure we had that available to us. So yeah, with the players, the team, and everything, we were just a bunch of proud Canadians in that group, and yeah, we made sure we had our fill of that after we won.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about the celebration too. Like, you guys come together as a team in 10 days, and these guys have battled against each other their whole career, and then you finally get to the goal you achieved, and you're in there drinking beer and eating pizza and playing tunes. Like, how cool was it for you just to look around these superstars and just all these guys finally acting like kids? You know what I mean? They look like good Canadian kids that were so proud that they got her done.
It's when you win championships, and I've had some unique ones. The first one in the bubble, we didn't have any family or friends around. It was just us, which was a real cool, unique experience. The next one, we had all our family and friends, but there's part of it is like, not only are you excited, it's all those budding emotions, but there's also like relief to it. Like, we did it. It's like you exhaled. Like, that's the only time you get to exhale is after you win. And you want to do it with the guys you went to war with. And one of the great experiences for me was, okay, so everybody's going in, they're going nuts, the champagne's going on and stuff like that. And then the media is going to come in. And so now everybody exits, and because there's only like 3 or 4 guys that numbers are usually like they're the heavyweights or the goal scorers or whatever. And they go out to the media, and everybody jumps into the trainer's room. And so the trainer's room is full of a whole bunch of Canadian beverages.
Yeah.
And everybody's stuffed in this training room, the players and coaches, and we're just sitting around. And that was my favorite part, because then we just, what do you say, Jay Shush? Tossed it around or snapped it around. We snapped it around for probably an hour. And that to me, I'll always remember, because that was like our moment of togetherness. Because then after that happened, we went to the big family party after, and then everybody disappeared. So that I will always cherish that moment, that hour after we won in the trainer's room with all the guys.
That's what it's all about right there. You just gave me goosebumps, Groups. I mean, just sitting in there, I miss sitting in the trainers room with the boys after a big win. I can't imagine after that big of a win. But back to the start of the championship game, you brought in 99. I know how much he means to you, how much he means to the country of Canada. I've been lucky enough to know Wayne a little bit now. I say he's a better guy than he was a player, and he's the greatest player of all time. But I love this hat. Be great. But I thought that was a great move by you, bringing him in there before the game and just saying, boys, this is what Canada's all about here.
Yeah. How often do you get to bring in Mario Lemieux in game 1 and top it off and have Wayne Gretzky for the finale? I'd be remiss if I didn't say we squeezed in Ryan Getzlaf into the Finland game. But you know what the irony is? The only time we didn't have a guy read our lineup that wasn't a part of our team was the game we lost against USA. So to have, like, I don't think there's anybody that's represented, that bleeds the red and white like Gretzky has in hockey and Bruce Country. And he, we're so proud of him and what he's done and how he's made us proud, and, how he played the game for so many years. And again, another Mount Rushmore. And to have him come in and do that with our team and talk to the guys, it was, it's a little bit of that out of body experience, and just how I felt about Mario and Wayne. And I know, I'm closer to their ages than these players are, but you look around that room, and some of those players in our room that are playing, they're going to be the generation that's going to be coming in and reading the lineup for a bunch of kids that are right now like 5 years old. And so it's just kind of like a torch being passed down, and it was really cool to be a part of it. And I thank Wayne for coming down.
Coop, my last one, transitioning back into the regular season, coming down the stretch run with the Lightning. You boys have a big
rolling.
up here.
Boys are rolling.
Boys are rolling. So one guy you added back into the mix, though, is Ryan McDonagh. How nice is having that big horse back there, reuniting with the team? I've always loved his game from his days at Wisconsin, watching him with the Rangers, into the Lightning, and now back into the fold. He's just that ultimate guy, isn't he, back there? He's just the human eraser on that left side.
Yes, he is. He's going to go down for me, and hopefully I'm coaching much longer than my career is still going to continue on. But if I'm going to find a better teammate and defenseman than that guy, I want to see where he's coming from. And you look at, I think the league came out, every team came out with their quarter century team this year. Yeah. Well, how many guys in the league made 2 quarter century teams? Ryan McDonagh did.
Yeah.
One with the Rangers and one with Tampa. And that pretty much, I think, says it all, that how much he means to a team and how much he's valued, because he's not the guy that is, putting a puck in the net every night. And somebody's got to keep it out. Somebody's got to do all those things that don't end up in the newspaper. They don't end up, with the ticker tape, because he's scored 3 or 4. But he's the guy that every goalie's like, all right, when we're protecting the lead, who do I want back there? That's Ryan McDonagh. And it'll be a darn shame if when his career's over that he's not enshrined in the Hall of Fame, because he richly deserves it.
Coop, obviously I'm a Lightning alumni, buddy. I'm always pulling for you. Since we had our nice team dinner out here in Newport, I just want to let you know you're 17-8 since you invited me out for dinner. So I just wanted to say, hey, I'm trying to do my part for you. But Coop, in all seriousness, how good is this Lightning team, buddy? You're rolling right now. Vasilevsky to me looks like the Vazzy of 1 year winning your 2 Stanley Cups. You gave him the night off last night, but how good is this Tampa team in your opinion? Or are you just gonna play it out and see how it ends up here?
I like our group. We've got, I think we're talented in all the right areas. We have a goalie. We're deep. We've got, I think we're deep down the middle. We've got defensemen. We have some elite players. Nikita Kucherov is, to me, should win the Hart every year, or he should at least be in the voting for it. And as you said, we've got the goalie, we've got the D, and it's just, the one thing about the playoffs, and I can sit here and rewind to 2019 when we had the 62-win all-world team and we got swept in the first round. You just never know. And, did I know that after that year we were going to go to 3 straight Cup finals and win 2 of them? Sure didn't feel like that after 2019. I'll tell you that. But your job is to keep getting a kick at the can. And you never know. Just get yourself in. Don't wish to play anybody. Don't, give a rat's ass what place we come in. Just give me an opponent. Let's figure out a way to beat them. And there's oftentimes you're not, but sometimes you are. And then when you take it, you ride it. And I've been really fortunate to go to 4 Cup finals in my career. And like I said, win 2 of them. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. Yeah. And you just got to keep, because only one team wins. It's 32 teams in the league. Only one goes away happy. And so you look at those percentages, it's not high. So just keep giving yourself a kick at the can. And this year's team definitely has a kick at the can.
Coop, I appreciate you, buddy. You're great for hockey in both countries, especially. Yeah. Okay. What do you got, fella?
Just. Okay. Since we had so much Four Nations talk.
Yeah.
And because you're the glue guys, you're my guys.
Yeah.
I thought, the great thing is about, guests always get surprised. So I thought I'd surprise the host. So,
all right,
you got a couple more minutes.
Oh yeah, we got anything for you, buddy.
Hold on. I gotta clean these out because he's gonna have to use them. But none other. I don't even know how to introduce this guy. Let's call it the guy that brought 40 million people out of their seats in Game 2. None other than Brandon Hagel.
Oh, Hags.
Hags. Fella.
This is the guy that everybody.
Wow.
Boys.
Hags, how you doing, fella?
What's up? Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, buddy. Good.
Talking the coach's ear off or what?
Yeah, just breaking it down with Cooper. He's easy guy to talk to, but
easy.
we were just talking about how proud everyone made us, and obviously you're right at the top of that, buddy. I mean, we're talking about that game in Montreal. We're walking in the rink, after a nice dinner, we got a nice little glow going on, and people are already high-fiving, and then the anthem starts, and then you and Maddie come out and do your thing. Like, do you look back on it still today and just be like, what an experience, or how great that was for just hockey in general, my man?
Yeah, I think it was unreal, man. Like I think you said it best. I mean, obviously you're not sure what the anthem was ridiculously loud in there. You already have freaking goosebumps already at the starting lineup, and then I get asked to fight. So that just topped it off. And like I think you guys probably already talked about, which was so good for the game and everything that happened for hockey, and then just that build up obviously for the rest of the tournament, but you're a year away from the Olympics. So I think it was great for the game, and I've never heard of building that loud in my life.
Yeah, I got another one for you, Hags. Just, obviously you got to Tampa, have turned into a hell of a player. You walk in that Team Canada dressing room and you're surrounded with all that talent. I mean, you guys have tons of talent on Tampa as well, but for a guy like yourself, when you walked in that dressing room day one, was it exactly like you expected? Were you nervous, excited? I just can't imagine as an ex-player putting myself in that dressing room with all those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was. I've been pretty fortunate, obviously, as a younger player, getting into the started with Kaner and Tays and Dunks and Siebes in Chicago, and then obviously the opportunity to come to Tampa and have Stammer. You go down the list, and then going to that dressing room, I think you sit there and obviously you're in that position now, but you look back at the history in the dressing room and what some of these guys and moments and stuff these guys have done is it's pretty remarkable. And that's what, I mean, me as a kid, I was watching tons of those guys and obviously still look up to a lot of those guys nowadays, even though I'm playing against them. But just, like Sid, for example, obviously the golden goal, everyone knows about that, the Stanley Cups, like that's my generation growing up watching him and do that types of things. So I think it was pretty cool. It's pretty special, especially being able to watch what these guys do on a day-to-day basis of how they prepare themselves, what they're doing after practice and stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool.
Hags, it's Swish. You know what? As an American dude over here, it broke my heart to see the USA boys lose. But however, when you won, and then, I don't know, it was probably into the wee hours of the night because I woke up and saw it the next day, you posted that group chat photo, and that was just like the mic drop. I'm like, oh no, fuck me, we got to relive it. But was that something planned? Was it spur of the moment? Because that was so well played, man. I was like, oh, there's the dagger. There it is. Like, I love the game within the game, and I thought that was so good for hockey, not only on the ice, but just the banter, even in the media a little bit, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think I think for myself, you see as hockey players, it's almost like we're trained to say the right things, or you go in the NFL and they can say whatever they want, and then the media stuff kind of just started, and I thought it was really good for the game. I think it was everywhere. It started a lot of things, whether it's what he said or what I said, and then I think just at the end, there was such a good thing for the game and started. I mean, the media stuff's fun. I think guys talk about it all the time. I wish we go back and forth to make the anticipation for the fans, for the hockey, for the games that much better. And I think it was just kind of one of those things that just kind of finish it off one more time. And but like you said, I think it's such good for the game. I think a lot of us players seem that we're trained to say the right things, or we might be sitting on the bench. And I don't think that's the thing. I think we're trying to grow the game here and put it in a better place. And I think a little bit of that never hurt.
Hags, I don't think you should have to buy a beer or dinner ever again back home, fella. And I know the tournament ends and you go right back to Tampa, and I'm sure you got lots of texts, but I think as your career moves forward and you go back home to Saskatchewan or go back to Canada, I think you're going to realize how this is going to stick with you forever. Is that something that maybe has crossed your mind, or nothing you thought about? But I think this game and this win and what you did in that game in Montreal will always stick with Canadians, my man.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's obviously a ton of text messages and you see stuff everywhere, but I think it'll be a little bit different going home to see all the buddies and stuff like that. But it's one of those games that'll go down in the history books, and I'm sure people will be talking about it from years now, how the game kind of blew up or took off. And I think we're just in good hands right now and on the right track.
Hags, my last one, I was just curious, brother. You were a 6th-round pick, 159th overall in 2016 by the Buffalo Sabres. You had a great junior career. Did they just not sign you there, or what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it was after my getting drafted. I had a really good year, actually. The year after I got drafted, and I believe Tim Murray got fired then, and he was the one who drafted me. I stayed it was almost a summer and a half in Buffalo because they asked me to. And I just thought, like, as a kid, it's the right thing to do if you want to try and make it. It's one thing getting drafted, but the next step is obviously signing. And then after that, it's finding a place in the NHL. And my last year, I don't know, he just, someone called me and he said they're not going to sign you. And I said, okay. And I think one of the player development called me and was basically like, yeah, we hope you prove us wrong. And best of luck. And it was kind of just that simple, to say the least.
Hags, my man. Oh, go ahead, Swish. Sorry.
I was going to say, they've been missing the boat a little bit there, eh?
Yeah. Add it to the list, eh? Add it to the list, fella. Add it to the list.
He's got 30 goals. They're all even strength.
Yeah. Hags, thank you for doing this. This is a beauty move by you and Coop. But, buddy, thanks as a Canadian from one Canadian to another, buddy. I was talking up that tournament and talking up that game, and I knew you boys would play with pride. And for you to go out there and fucking chuck them right off the dot, I was crushing beer. I was high-fiving. I felt like a kid again. So thank you, buddy, and way to represent the country, man. You made us proud.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Hags. You're the man, buddy.